Yes.
Right, perfect. All right, this is the third and final webinar as a part of our three-part series from professional development and our new mentor-mentee program. So today's session will be on personal branding, a pathway to career success. My name is Kendall Brown. I'm currently serving as the South Florida HIMSS president. I'll be the president through June of 2023, and then Ganesh Prasad from Memorial Healthcare will be coming on to serve as presidents after June 2023. HIMSS is an international organization, a global organization. You can see the different countries that HIMSS has a presence in around the globe. And it consists of, I think, around 50,000 members, and we're all health IT professionals. This is our vision and mission. Our local chapter of South Florida HIMSS has almost 2,000 members. We are looking to supersede that number. I think we're like at 1,800. So we need your support. If you're not a member of South Florida HIMSS, it's a very easy process, very nominal fee. And anyone of the board can help you with your membership if you have any questions. We encourage you to follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Sessions like this will be on YouTube under our account after these webinars. And if you're looking to become more involved, we are always looking for additional help. So feel free to check out our website to find out what different committees we have, or reach out to any of the board, and we can happily point you in the right direction or help navigate the chapter. If you don't have the national conference dates on your calendar, I encourage you to put the National HIMSS conference on your calendar. It's April 17th through the 23rd, and we'll be going back to Chicago. We haven't done Chicago in several years. The chapter of South Florida HIMSS has recently extended our deadline for our annual Innovation Award. This is our 5th year doing the Innovation Award. You can find out more information on our website. There have been emails that are going out. We extended the deadline for submission until the 24th. So I encourage you to have a look at that. It's a great way to get exposure in the South Florida area. We have two programs coming up. One is this Thursday, August 18th at noon to 1. It is a webinar. You can register online. The topic is digitize access to healthcare. And we have Dr. Shen and Patrick Murda, who will be panelists, along with our moderator, Paul Salmon, who is a fellow board member. And then September 22nd is an in-person event. More details to follow, but it is on a special topic about innovative solutions to address the unmet needs of elder care patients. And the CEO of ChinMed will be participating, as well as some other great speakers. So more information to come on that, but mark your calendar, and we hope to see you on Thursday. A big thank you to all of our annual sponsors. We would not be able to host events like today without them. So thank you all. And if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, you can find more information about that on our website as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to good friend and fellow board member, Grant McGaugh. Grant is our committee chair of our programs, and he's also the CEO and owner of Star BDM, which is his own personal company. I have attended this session about personal branding that he gave previously. It's a great session. I hope you learned something from him today. So Grant, I'll turn it over to you.
Let me get back over here. I think I'm on, get my camera on, right? So I am here, and I wanted to make sure, first of all, try to make this as interactive as possible. We've only got a half hour, which is not a lot of time to cover a subject that ultimately can define your career and what it is, and how you can actually move it forward to help you, whether it's in business or whether it's in career development. Now, I want to make this interactive. So the question I have for our group today, you can pop this in the chat. We'll just take a look at what we get in the chat. But what is your definition of personal branding? When you hear the word personal branding, what do you think of? What is the most common thing that comes to your mind? And then we're going to just kind of take a look at that and kind of move forward through it and see if we can further define that and move you to a different state. So go ahead and pop what you have into the chat as soon as you can, and then we'll kind of work through it. And as we're working through that, I'm going to tell you about why I got involved in personal branding. And it came about through a training session that I had in Denver, Colorado about 7 years ago, in which I came across an instructor. The instructor was talking about, this new business that we were involved in, but he was going to show us an evolutionary way to reach out to our clients. Now, I'm in sales, so my primary goal is to create relationships and to be able to narrate an opportunity for others in business or in their career to move the ball forward, to gain something from an interaction with myself that they cannot do by themselves. That's essentially what salespeople should be doing. They should elevate you to a plane of knowledge that you can't get through search and social. And remind what I just said about search and social. At the time that I took this training, a lot of emphasis was on email as far as interaction. A lot of I would say attention was on phone, making phone calls, and then in-person events. And social was still in its infancy for the most part, right? And no one was really using it as a tool for building relationships. And that's what we're really, really about. I want to look at some of these answers I got here. So communities understanding the value as you add to others, what represents you professionally, strengths and knowledge, selling yourself, showing your skill set to the world, professional strengths, online present, social media. All of those are correct. But when you look at the narrative of what personal branding is, and this will be kind of my definition, it's about showcasing your uniqueness in the service to others. Remember what I just said there, showcasing your personal uniqueness for the purpose of serving others. We're in a very competitive environment, no matter what business that you're in, what industry that you're in, how you project yourself and how you are perceived by others is critical and is the first step someone is going to take when they're going to interact with you. And typically, when someone's going to interact with you, they're not interacting with you physically first. They're interacting with you digitally. So your digital reputation is going to precede you. So if you have not curated a narrative about what your uniqueness is, what your personal story is, the narrative that you want others to have, then others will make one up for you. This is what has happened. Because if you don't curate your own personal brand, the image that someone has in their own mind about you becomes dominant. So if they Google your name, they do certain things and they're looking you up and people are talking about you and you have not influenced that conversation that's happening in the room, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage. So we're going to talk about that. Like, what is a personal brand? I think we kind of talked a little bit about that, why it is important. We'll get into that area and what you can do to manage it, which is highly important, right? So I follow William Arruda. He writes for Forbes on a weekly column. He talks about personal branding at a high level. He's been talking about it for probably 10 plus years. His definition is personal branding is your most valuable career asset tool when you know how to uncover, express, and nurture it. And what he means by that is that it's not just about reputation. That's definitely clearly a part of it. It's not just, putting a lot of things out on social media, what you're doing, why you're doing it. That's a part of it. But what is the end game? What is the goal? What is the desired outcome of personal branding? And a lot of it comes down to career development. A lot of it comes down to business development. That is the why. Why would you want to take up personal branding and actually be intentional about it, right? So to further define what is a personal brand, we talk about your uniqueness, what differentiates you, how do you leverage? You've got to look at these 6 core areas of your own life and step back from it like a mirror and take a look at that. You know, how do you perceive your character? What is the skill sets that you have, your competence, your charisma, what's your personality, like who you are and how you do it. But most importantly, why you're special. I will tell everybody that you are special. You're very unique. The worst thing you want to be able to do is that you're seen as a commodity, that if you feel like, hey, you know what? I've graduated college. Okay, that's a pool of people. All right, I've got my master's degree. All right, you know, that's a pool of people. I work for a very, well-known hospital system. Well, that's another pool of people. Now you're only competing with what? Another 2 million people. So that's a lot. That doesn't differentiate you to the point of making you special. When a person is going to hire you, and people talk about this all the time, when they're going to hire you, table stakes gets you into the room. It gets you the interview. They're not going to interview you if they don't see the educational attainment. They're not going to interview you if they don't see that you've had a career track that's going to match up with the type of employment that you're looking for, or if you're in business, the type of client, you know, that wants to do business with you, right? So all those narratives are at play. So the number one thing that they want to know is, are you a fit in their cultural society? They want to know what makes you tick. What are you about? What's your story? Outside of that, what's your personality? What's your humanity? And do you have a cause? This is one of the biggest things when you start on the course. And I would figure everybody in this room that are in this Zoom room that here have some interest in personal branding, that you want to personally brand yourself. So you want to start with a point of view. What does that mean? How do you feel about certain issues and situations in your life as it relates to your career or business? What's your point of view? And what's the story behind that? Because that will hone your passion. So when someone asks you, why are you in the healthcare business? And you say, well, I want to help others be well. Well, that's only, 89% of everybody else that does that. They want to know something a little bit more specific. So you're not a commodity in the workplace. You won't be a disadvantage when you compare yourself to the others who have a curated story. That makes perfect sense. They want to know how you solve certain challenges that came up in the roles that you had. Have you curated that? If I go to your about section on your LinkedIn, does it tell a story about certain challenges that you have, some intrigues that have gone on in your world? These are the things that people are going to tune into, because they're not going to get that on a resume. They're not going to get that on your CV. They're probably not going to get that on a phone interview unless you start to curate that story yourself and be able to reach out and touch them in a way that's emotional, that is intriguing from a mental standpoint, but it makes you stand out from a passion standpoint. So you don't want to limit your reach by not having a personal brand. Now, this is key. Now, what do I mean by don't claim to do stuff or be known for it? I'm talking about authenticity. You've got to be authentic with your brand. You've got to step back and look at the course of your life and frameworks of maybe 10, 20 years, maybe 30, 40 years, depending on what it is. What is the narration of your life? What is the story of your life? You don't have to borrows from someone else's life. You've got, most people have some kind of entry that has occurred with them, challenges that they had to power through. And those are the stories that people want to know about. They want to know how you got through these different things, and that now you put it in a way that they can see it in print, or they can see it through digital. They want to say, wow, you was let's just for instance, you were a C-suite executive at a certain location, let's say it was in California, and you went through the COVID-19 outbreak, and you had challenge after challenge after challenge, and you narrated those challenges and what you did to get through it. Why do I bring that up? Because that's why I do a podcast. I do a podcast that allow people to tell their story, to talk about their challenges, to talk about the things that are passionate for them. And that from there, they can start to realize like, wow, I do have a brand. I do have a voice. I do have an opinion in which is very, very valuable to others. Because what I said earlier is so, so important. It's about your authenticity. It's about your uniqueness in the way that you use it to serve others. That's how you're going to begin to create your brand. You got to think about, am I the go-to person for certain things? And then from there, you'll be able to define and refine your skill set. You start to look at what is my particular brand and how I am different in my job, in my role, in my industry, in my community. And you start looking out and what does the market really need? As you know, I wouldn't say in the form of a hero, it could be a hero. You are a hero in the world that you're in, depending on what it is that you do that allows someone else to get better. And so you start to narrate that story. You begin to hone in on that story. You begin to see your particular fingerprint that no one else has. No one else has. So if you were not in the room, that particular skill set's going to be missing. That is your niche. That's finding your voice. That's what that is all about. So you begin to then, after you've discovered your brand, you begin to develop it. And that takes time. You're going to have to develop it. I interviewed Walter Bond. Walter Bond is a world-renowned speaker. He's a Hall of Fame speaker. He was just on my podcast. Recently, I just rebroadcasted this episode on my TV series that I do weekly on Wednesdays. And I do this for the purpose of allowing others to tell their story and why it is important. He says, when you're developing your brand, you want to be able to develop the brand through your habits and your rituals to achieve a desired outcome. Now, what does that mean? That means you've got to look at how I'm going to get to where I want to go by developing my brand. Who needs to hear my message? That's your target audience. You know, and that, again, when we're talking about your unique value proposition, that you're developing it and you're honing it and becomes a lightning rod for you, because no one else will have a story quite like yours. And you want to be that go-to person, as I said earlier. So when someone says, you know what, does anybody know, anything about personal branding? I want my name to come out in the room when I'm not even there. So think about your own industry. Think about your own profession, your own career, your own business. If you're in a conference room and they're having a discussion around problems that they're having that are major challenges, and they say, who can help us? Your name comes up. And you've done that intentionally. That is what personal branding is all about. You've told the story, they've heard the story, and then now they can utilize your power to be able to apply it to those particular challenges. And that's knowing your strengths. And remember what I said about your accomplishments, your challenges, and how you got through them. So you want to be able to take a look at yourself on social media, through search and social if you had a funnel, like I work through funnels a lot in the sales world, right? And how we get to a point where actually having intelligent conversations with a client. And as I said earlier, most people would start like, well, all right, here's my, list of people. I'm going to email them, I'm going to, call them, and I'm going to try to meet them possibly outside, maybe at a conference, at a HIMSS event or something like that. But remember, before that, search and social. People are going to look you up. If you have not curated what your digital image looks like, your digital presence looks like, that's going to be a problem, because it's going to say a lot about you that you may not want to hear. It's a perception that is out there. So what does it say about you? Now, what I do, because I have a podcast and because I put out a lot of different content, specifically on LinkedIn, when someone Googles my name, I already know what's going to come up. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, the first 5 or 6 feeds that are going to come up when someone Googles you is your LinkedIn profiles. And whatever you've put on those profiles, Twitter is going to come up immediately. LinkedIn is going to probably come up second. You've got a website that's going to come up third. If you have any kind of public relations, they're going to come up fourth or fifth, and so forth. So I've done that intentionally. So when someone looks me up, they're going to like, oh, I see Grant's involved in this, and Brian's like, oh, this is wonderful. He might be our guy. So you want to take a look at what you're doing and how that looks. And you're the only one that can see that and really say, is that the story I want told in the boardrooms of people that might want to utilize me for their particular project? So that gets into the why, right? We've been going through this why, like how we're going to improve in all the different areas of our life. But the number one thing, go all the way to the bottom, is influence. Personal branding is all about influence, that you're influencing the game. You're influencing the conversation without you being in the room. You've now expanded your reach beyond any other way that you can do it, just by word of mouth, because you've put the words in their mouths, if you follow what I'm saying. So you make sure that you definitely have curated your profile, especially on LinkedIn. See what the story that it's telling others about you, and start to make those changes for yourself. If you feel that that's not in your skill set, that's when you look to a professional that can help you. That's something that I can definitely help you out with. Remember, especially people that are looking for new careers, 70% of recruiters will already have rejected you based on what they found online. So if your profile is not matching up with the job that you're seeking, that's something you definitely need to take a look at and make those changes. And then the fact that social will convert 7 times more than any other lead. You start thinking about the faces of Tesla, or the faces of well-known brands like Oprah Winfrey and OWN. You are the face of your brand. And that has to be curated and be able to tell the story of what is most important for you. So I know we're getting toward the end, but I want to show you that into the how you want to be able to build your brand community. That's just understanding the target audience that truly needs to hear your message. You don't need thousands and thousands of followers. You don't. Be nice if, you know what, if I had a room just like I have like today, these are the people that I need to have the influence on. That's my brand community. I only need to talk to that particular community, which is yourself, and be able to tell that story. And which, again, what is the purpose? The purpose is not just to beat my drum. The purpose is to solve a problem, to help you with your challenges, right? To take my uniqueness and apply it for service to others. And that is what I am doing. So we're getting toward the end, and I know I can't go through a lot of this, but if you need to have further conversation, I encourage you to reach out to me directly. You can reach me at Grant.McGaugh at 5starbdm.com. We can set up a time to talk, and then find out, again, what is your desired outcome is the most important thing. What are you trying to accomplish? And from there, you can back into a brand blueprint that's going to help you to achieve that goal, if that makes sense. So at this point, I like to open it up for any kind of discussion. We've got a few minutes left. So if anybody's got a question, you can come off of, you can unmute your mic. You can ask a question while we've got a few minutes before we close out. What do we got here? We have questions. What a great career professional session. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate all that love. What represents, okay, all right. So I get the accolades, and I encourage everyone to have a testimonial. I love testimonials. So I put those out there because when people see that you got value out of a particular session and they align with you, they're going to get value out of that session. So I think that's important. I think that's very important. Here we go. Kendall's back. Do you have any questions, Kendall?
I don't. Thank you, Grant. You've been you were very helpful to me on some tips and tricks and about LinkedIn and my profile on LinkedIn. So I encourage everybody to connect with one another on LinkedIn and connect with Grant. Thank you for your words of wisdom today, Grant. And thank you everyone for joining. We hope to see you on Thursday during our South Florida HIMSS program. Noon to 1, go to our website and register for that one. And thank you all. Have a nice day. Thank you, Grant.
You're welcome. Thank you.